So what you'll need is 2 balls of yarn. So this is like a natural cotton. It's 4 ply, and I'll just put up close of all the information. But what you'll also need, I'm going to use a 2mm crochet hook, so the stitches are like really tight. And then you also need like a pair of scissors. We're going to begin with a slip knot. Then I'm going to make a chain of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So once you've got your chain of 4, we're going to go into that first chain that you did, and we're going to join the chain by doing a slip knot. So you stick your needle through the stitch, catch the yarn on the other side, pull through both loops, and then you have your little circle, and you can see that's the circle we're going to work into. So now we're going to chain 2, and we're going to do 11 double crochets. So and why we're doing 11 is because this chain 2 counts as a double crochet. So that's 2. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And you're gonna want to keep the tension quite tight. So now we've done 11 double crochets. We're going to join this first row with a slip stitch. So we're going to go into that first like chain that we did and join with a slip stitch. Now we're going to start row 2 by chaining 2, and we're going to go into that first stitch with a double crochet. So we're going to do 1, 1, 2, and in that 4th stitch you're going to make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to chain 1 and do 3 double crochets in that stitch again. 1, so then we're just going to continue. 1, 1, 2, 3, and in that 4th stitch we're going to make our increase. So we're going to go 3 double crochets. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, chain 1, and do 3 double crochets in that same stitch again. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to go 1, 2, 2, 3, and in that fourth stitch we're going to make our increase. One, one, two, three, chain 1, and in that same stitch 1, 1, 2, 3, and then join the row with a slip knot. And you can see where we did those increases, the triangle, the start of the triangle. So we're going to start row 3. So we're going to chain 2, and then we're just going to do double crochets in every stitch until we get to these corners, the 3 corners. So now we're at the corner, and you're just going to do 3 double crochets like you did in the previous row. So we're doing our increase, 1, then you're going to chain 1 and do 3 double crochets in that gap again. And then you're just going to do your single crochets and your double crochets in all these stitches, and then in the corners you do your 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then 3 double crochets in that same gap. So I'll meet you once we have finished the row. So we're at the end of the 3rd row, and we're just going to join it with a slip stitch, and we're going to start row 4. So basically it's the same pattern. So when you aren't at the corners, you just making single double crochets in each stitch, and then when you're at the corners you do your increase of 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then 3 double crochets again. So you're gonna want to do this until the cup is big enough to fit you. I'm doing 8 rows, and I'll show you this is what it should look like at the end of 8 rows. So I'll meet you once I've done this cup, and we're going to do the straps next. So yeah, so I just joined the end of the row here with a slip stitch. So now we're going to start the straps. So this knot is going to be at the bottom, and you're going to put your needle through that chain 1 from the previous row in that gap there, and from your ball of yarn you're gonna leave like quite a bit of space, like, because we're gonna start with the strap. So I'm gonna pull the, like, fold the yarn in half and pull it through. Then I'm gonna separate the 2 pieces, and this front piece of yarn goes over the needle, and then the back piece of yarn you pull through. And then you're just going to continue this until it is long enough for you. So I'd estimate maybe 110 stitches, but yeah, you can basically just eyeball it and see how long you want it. So once your chain is long enough, I'm just gonna cut off both this, well, the extra yarn, and then I'm just gonna pull that through and then make a little knot, and then you can cut off the flappy strings. And then, so once you've finished your 2 cups, you're gonna start with the part that goes, well, the tie, the back tie. So you're gonna leave a lot of string because it needs to be big enough to tie, fit around your back and tie. So I'm now just gonna make a slip knot. I'm gonna place my needle through the slip knot, put the front yarn over the needle, and then catch the back yarn. So basically what we did previously for the straps that tie around your neck. So you're basically making one long chain now. So I'll meet you once it's long enough to tie around my back. So we've done our chain around the back, and now we're gonna weave it through. So you're gonna go under, maybe I should do it like this, from that side, under, over, under, over, under, over. So then we're gonna take the other end of this, and you're gonna pull it through like so. And you've got it on. And we're just going to do that for the other side too. So we've got both cups on the string now, and we finished our bikini top, and I'm just going to cut off these little things, well, excess yarn, and then you're finished, and now we can get started with the bottoms. Okay, so now we're gonna start with the bottoms. The back part of. So now we're gonna start with the back part of the bottoms. So we've done the front. So I'm just gonna flip my work around, and I'm gonna stick my needle through that stitch there. Take the slip knot and pull it through the stitch. Then I'm gonna chain 2. I'm gonna go into that same stitch that we've just chained 2. So chain 2, and then I'm just gonna make a double crochet in every stitch until the end of the row. So I'll meet you once I've finished this row. So we're going into that last stitch. I'm going to chain 2, flip my work around, and then I'm going to increase in that first stitch. So for row 2, you're going to start the row with an increase. So you're just going to do a double crochet in that first stitch. Then we're not going to do a double crochet in that next stitch. just 1 double crochet, and then in the next stitch we're going to do 2 double crochets in that stitch. Then in this next stitch we're going to do 1 double crochet, and then in the next stitch we're going to do 2 double crochets in that one stitch. So for row 2 you're alternating between 1 double crochet and then 2 double crochets in one stitch. So this stitch, 1 double crochet, the next stitch, 2 double crochets. So I'll meet you at the end of the row. So we're coming to that last stitch, and it calls for an increase because in the previous stitch I did 1 double crochet, so I'm obviously going to do 2 double crochets in this stitch to end the row. So now we're going to start row 3, and I'm not going to increase. So row 3 we're not increasing, so we're just working single double crochets in every stitch. So I'll meet you at the end of the row. So we're coming to that last stitch of row 3, and we're just gonna go into it with 1 double crochet. And now we're gonna start row 4. So I'm gonna chain 2, flip my work around, and we're gonna increase at the beginning and the end of each row. So we're starting with an increase, and then we're gonna do a double crochet in every stitch until we get to the end of the row. So I'll meet you once we're at the end of row 4. So we're coming to that last stitch, and we're gonna do 2 double crochets in that last stitch because it's an increasing. We're gonna increase. So that's kind of what it should look like. So I'm going to chain 2, flip my work around, and we're not increasing row 5. We're just going to do double crochets in every stitch until we get to the end of the row. So I'll meet you once we're at the end of the row. So we're going to go into that last stitch at the end of row 5. And now we're going to start row 6. So I'm going to chain 2, and in this row we're going to start with an increase. 1, okay. Then we're going to do 2 double crochets, so 1, 2, and in that third stitch we're going to make an increase. So 2 double crochets, 1, 2, and then increase. 1, 2. So we're going to do that for the rest of the row, and I'll meet you when we finish the row. So we're coming to the end of row 6, and we're going to end with an increase. 1, 2. I'm going to chain 2, flip my work around, and row 7 we are not going to increase. So we're just doing double crochets in every stitch until we get to the end of the row. So we're coming to the end of row 7. We're going to go into that last stitch, and now we're going to start row 8. So for row 8, we're going to begin with an increase, and then we're just going to make a double crochet in every stitch, and then when we come to the end of the row, we're going to make our increase. So I'll meet you at the end of the row. So we're going to end row 8 with an increase, then chain 2, and we're going to start row 9. So we're not going to increase on row 9. We're just going to double crochet in every stitch until the other side. So I'll meet you at the end of the row. So we're coming to the end of row 9. I'm going to chain 2, and then we're going to start row 10 with an increase. So starting with an increase, going to double crochet to the other side, and then we're going to end row 10 with an increase, and I'll meet you once we have finished this row. So we're going to end row 10 with our increase. Then we're going to start row 11. So we're chaining 2, flipping your work around, and we're going to start row 11 with an increase. Then we're going to do 3 double crochets in each stitch. 1, 2, 3, and in that 4th stitch we're going to increase. So 1, 2, 3, and in that 4th stitch we make our increase. And then we're going to do this until we get to the other side, and I'll meet you there. So we're going to end row 10 with our increase. Then we're going to start row 11. So we're chaining 2, flipping your work around, and we're going to start row 11 with an increase. Then we're going to do 3 double crochets in each stitch. 1, 2, 3, and in that 4th stitch we're going to increase. So 1, 2, 3, and in that 4th stitch we make our increase. And then we're going to do this until we get to the other side, and I'll meet you there. So we're ending row 11 with an increase. And then we're going to start row 12 by chaining 2, flipping your work around, and we are not increasing this row, so you're just going to double crochet in every stitch until the end of the row. We're going to go into that last stitch of row 12, chain 2, and start row 13 with an increase. Then we're just going to double crochet in every stitch until we get to that last stitch where we're going to make our increase. So I'll meet you at the end of the row. So we're coming to the end of row 13, and we're going to start with, end with an increase. And then we're going to chain 2 for row 14. We are not increasing, we're just making double crochets in every stitch until the end of the row. So we're coming to the last stitch of row 14. I'm going to chain 2, flip your work around, and then we're going to start row 15 with an increase. And then we're just going to double crochet in every stitch until the last stitch where you're going to make your increase. So I'll meet you at the end of the row. So we're ending row 15 with an increase. And now we're going to start row 16. So we're going to chain 2 and we're starting row 16 with an increase. And then we're going to do 4 double crochets in each stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in that 5th stitch you're going to make an increase. So we're coming to the end of row 16, and we're going to make an increase in that last stitch. We're going to chain 2, and from row 17 we're not going to increase, so we're just going to make double crochets in every stitch until the end of the row. So we're coming to the end of row 17. Just going into that end stitch, and now we're going to start row 18 with an increase. So start with an increase, then we're just going to double crochet in every stitch until we get to the other end, and I'll meet you on the other side. So I'm finishing off row 18 with an increase. I'm going to chain 2, flip my work around, and then start row 19 where we're not going to increase. So we're not increasing on row 19. So basically from row 17, basically you're alternating row 18 and row 19 until the bottoms are your desired size, or like for however many rows you need them to. So I'll meet you once I am finished. So we're just doing 2 double crochets in that last stitch there. And then I'm going to cut off my work, and we're going to begin with the straps. So you're going to leave like a lot of space for the straps. So you leave some space on the string, and I'm going to place my needle into that top stitch kind of, but not in that loop, there. And I'm going to catch the yarn, bring it through the stitch. So yarn around your needle, like over the front, and then you catch the back strand of string. So the front loop goes around over the front of the needle, then you catch the back. And we're going to be doing 50 rows of this. 50 stitches, not rows. So I'll meet you once I've got 50. So you're going to do this on all 4 corners of the bikini bottom. So I'm just gonna start this last corner and I'll meet you once I finish the strap on this one. Once you have finished doing all the straps, this is what it should look like. And then here's the top. And I will show you what it looks like on. Here's just a picture of what the bikini looks like on, and then like a picture of the bikini in water. And thanks for watching.